intimidated about making cinnamon buns because they think you have to make the dough and you have to do all this extra stuff. It's just as easy as buying the stuff in the store and everything you probably have in your house already, so you don't have to go drive to the store and go through all of that just to get Pillsbury cinnamon buns. These, so much better. So I'm going to start off with 2.5 cups of self-rising flour, and I'm doing that so then that way you don't have to add baking powder, baking soda, and all that extra stuff. That way you can just add the flour and it's done with. Okay, then we're going to add a little pinch of salt, trying to keep it as easy as possible, that way you guys don't get confused. A little bit of cinnamon, and all the measurements are right on CaitlinCooks.com, and then some white sugar. Okay, easy enough. Take a whisk or a fork, whatever you prefer, and mix up your dry ingredients. Then we're going to take 1 cup of milk. Try to use 2% or whole milk. It's going to add more flavor, more fat. And then 2 egg yolks. And then I have some melted butter, and I like to melt my butter right in a coffee cup for about 30 seconds. Makes it easier on yourself. Just throw in the dishwasher when you're done. Then grab your whisk. Do a little switcheroo. And we're going to add my wet ingredients to my dry ingredients. So basically just your butter to your flour. Then grab a wooden spoon or your hands, whatever you like to use, and we're going to stir it so it becomes a soft dough. I have a butcher block that I just lined with some parchment paper. That way the dough doesn't stick as much and go all over the place and make a big mess. So that we're just going to add a little tiny sprinkling of our self-rising flour. You don't want too much because you don't want that to affect the dough. Then you're going to grab your dough, and if you're like me, you can just use your hands, get on in there. Grab your rolling pin, which I put a little tiny bit of self-rising flour on that as well, and we're going to roll that out into like a square or rectangle kind of shape. Just roll the whole entire dough. And I think the mistake a lot of people do when they're making a dough is that they push really hard and they're like this and they go crazy. It's a soft, gentle dough. It's not that sticky, as you can see. So just be really gentle with it. Roll it out. So easy to work with. Okay, that's perfect. Now let's make our filling. And for the filling, I'm going to keep it as basic as possible and just use ingredients that I have in my pantry. You guys can feel free if you want to experiment, add raisins, cranberries, nuts, whatever you want to do. But I'm just doing some dark brown sugar. It's a generous 1/4 cup. A little bit of cinnamon, some melted butter, and sugar. Did you guys notice a trend? Lots of sugar, lots of butter. Oh well, what can you do? And you're just going to mix that until it gets the consistency of wet sand. Hopefully you're hanging in there. It's an easy recipe. It seems like a lot of steps, but it's not, you know, nothing challenging or anything. It's not like advanced skills. Then we're going to take our topping. We're just going to spread it right over the top. And I like to sprinkle it. Oh, screw it, I'll use my hands. Forget that spoon. Hands are just easier, especially when you're baking. I know I had a pastry class and my teacher would actually get into like a 15-gallon thing of frosting and use his whole arm in his hands, and he had these big ass hands. It was the most disgusting thing ever, but he's like, hey, you guys know when you go to bakery, that's how bakers do it. So I use my hands if they're clean. Okay, so we're going to get that whole thing spread with our delicious sugary buttery topping, and then we're going to roll it up. Now we're going to roll up our dough into a log. There's no technique, I just like to pull up the paper a little bit. Hopefully it comes off. There it goes. See, it doesn't really stick, and I didn't put that much flour. And just roll it over. Now we're just going to cut this guy up into little pieces so it actually becomes a cinnamon bun. And I like to use a serrated knife. So you can make them any size you want. I like them about this, little mini sized. So cute, so easy. Good thing with your kids too that you can make at home. Create some memories in the kitchen rather than just buying a box of Pillsbury and calling it a day. So we're just going to do that for all of them until we cut up the whole log. Then we're going to bake in the oven and put our delicious cream cheese topping. This is a dough scraper. It's only 60 cents. You guys asked what some of my must-have tools in the kitchen are. 60 cents. This is it. If you're a baker, it's going to scrape all that dough right up for you, especially if you make pizza, anything really. It's perfect because it's a pain in the butt to clean. I sprayed this pan with oil and then lined it with parchment paper. That way our buns aren't going to stick. Then we're just going to take our delicate little buns, be very gentle with them so they don't break, and put them right into your pan. And I already have my oven preheating, so that's going to be all set for us and ready to go. Oh, can we fit these guys in? Oh, perfect. Okay, and I'm going to bake these for about 35 minutes. And after that, we're going to glaze them up with that cream cheese frosting, because if they weren't fattening enough, not enough butter or sugar for you, honey, we got that extra special cream cheese butter frosting. Now to make the grand finale, we can't skip on the topping. I have 1 cup of powdered sugar. In the center, I kind of made a little bit of a well there. To that, we're gonna add in some butter that's softened. Make sure that it's at room temperature. It's gonna be a lot easier for you to work with it that way. It's still kind of cold, but it should be fine. Then we're gonna add in some cream cheese, full fat. Come on guys, don't try to skimp on me and do that low fat, reduced fat stuff. And then to that, I'm gonna add about 2 tablespoons of hot boiling water. I'm gonna put that right in the center. And then I like to use a wooden spoon. You can actually use the end of it because it's easier to stir that way. And we're just gonna get everything combined. You can also use a mixer if you want to, but this saves you the hassle of having to bring that out. Make a little bit of a glaze. I'm gonna add some vanilla extract for a little pop, just a little extra kick of flavor. And keep stirring, keep on stirring until everything's smooth, your butter and all of the sugar is combined. We're gonna put that aside and then we're gonna put this all over those buns. My hot, sexy buns just came out of the oven, and the impatient person that I am, I can't wait the 5 minutes. I'm gonna put my topping on them right away. I want all of this cream cheese frosting to just soak up into these hot little buns. I'm gonna pour it right over the top. There's no method to this. And using a spatula, spread it everywhere so it gets absorbed. Give it about 5 minutes and it's going to be a nice glaze right over the top of those buns, and I'm going to tear these suckers up.